a very important system of your body, which is the urinary system. In today's lecture, first we'll see the parts of this system, then we'll talk about the functions of the urinary system, and anatomy of the kidneys. You know, kidneys are the main organs of the urinary system. So we'll learn about the kidney. We'll see the anatomy of a kidney. We'll see the blood supply of the kidney. Then we'll talk about the nephron. Inside the kidney, you have millions of very small tube-like structures. Those are called nephrons. Each nephron can produce urine individually. That's why nephron is called the functional unit of the kidney, because we know that the function of the kidney is production of urine, right? Kidneys produce urine, and each nephron can produce urine. So that's why nephron is the functional unit of the kidney. We'll talk about the capillaries inside the kidney. 3 sets of capillaries you have inside the kidney. We'll see what are those 3 types of capillaries. Then we'll see the processes of formation of urine. There are 3 processes of urine formation. So 3 sets of capillaries and 3 processes of urine formation. We'll talk about them. So first, the parts of the urinary system. There are 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, 1 urinary bladder, and 1 urethra. All these parts are same in male and female except the last part. In male body, the urethra is much longer than the female urethra. Other structures are same. Kidneys are the major excretory organs of your body. That means most of the toxic chemicals get out from the body through the kidneys. That's why kidneys are the main excretory organs. Now, if I ask you, tell me in a very simple word, what's the function of the kidney? You will answer production of what? Urine. Production of urine. Kidneys produce urine. Now if I ask you how? By filtration. So kidneys produce urine by filtration. Blood goes or circulates inside the kidney, and your kidneys work as filters, separate the toxic chemicals from the blood. And then the urine goes from the kidneys to the bladder. Who takes the urine from the kidneys to the bladder? Ureters. You have 2 tube-like structures, narrow tube-like structures called ureters. They transport the urine from the kidneys to the bladder. Bladder stores the urine for few to several hours. If you need to hold, you can hold it for several hours. So that's the function of the bladder, holding the urine or storing the urine for few to several hours. And the last part, urethra, takes the urine out from the bladder to the atmosphere outside of the body. So from the bladder to the outside of the body, the urine is taken by the urethra. So those are the parts and their functions. Now, in this picture, you can see those parts of the urinary system. You see two kidneys, two ureters, you see the bladder and urethra. Now, one thing, if you look carefully, this picture, you see right kidney is slightly lower than the left in your body. Why? You know that liver is mostly in the right side, right? Above the kidney. So when the liver grows, it pushes the kidney down, right kidney downwards. That's why the right kidney is slightly lower than the left kidney. Functions. The kidneys remove the toxic chemicals by filtration. So as I have mentioned already, your blood is continuously circulating inside the kidney, and kidney is continuously filtering and separating the toxic chemicals, and water also is taken out from the blood, and water and toxic chemicals together form the urine. Regulation of blood volume. If you drink a lot of water, what happens? Your kidneys produce more urine. You all know that, right? If you drink more water, more urine is produced by the kidneys. Why? Because when you drink more water, water goes to the blood and blood volume increases. Make sense? So, which is not good. If the blood volume increases, blood pressure will increase, right? So, kidneys produce more urine to excrete those excess, that excess amount of water is excreted from the blood. So, by regulating the blood volume, your kidneys also regulate the blood pressure. Regulation of chemical composition. If in your blood certain chemical increases, the concentration of certain chemical increases, then kidneys will do what? Excrete that excess amount of chemicals from the blood. You know that in your blood all the chemicals or electrolytes must be in right concentration, in normal concentration. For example, if you all know, if in your blood hydrogen ion concentration increases, then blood will become what? Acidic. You know that, right? Hydrogen ion more means acidic. If calcium concentration increases, which is also not good, dangerous, that is called hypercalcemia. You all know that. Hypercalcemia. Now, you see that in your blood, the concentration of all those chemicals must be within normal range. If the hydrogen ion concentration increases, your blood will become acidic, which is not good. So, in that case, kidney will do what? Excrete excess hydrogen ion from the blood and will regulate the concentration of that chemical, and will also, by that, it will regulate the pH of the blood. Hydrogen ion concentration more means acidic, means less pH. You know that pH low means acidic. So, not only regulation of chemical concentration. By regulating the concentration of hydrogen ion, your kidneys regulate the pH, which is very important. Endocrine function. Your kidney produces two important chemicals. One is called the renin. Renin is a chemical which helps to regulate the blood pressure. It works on the blood vessels. We'll talk about that. Just know that renin is produced by the kidneys, and renin regulates the blood pressure. Another chemical, you have already heard this name, erythropoietin. When we talked about the blood, we talked about this chemical. Remember, erythropoietin stimulates the bone marrow to produce more red blood cells. Its name is telling you, erythrocyte, red blood cell, poietin, the chemical that stimulates the poiesis. Poiesis is production. You know, erythropoiesis. So erythropoietin stimulates the bone marrow to increase the production of red blood cells. So that's how the kidneys work as endocrine gland. Activation of vitamin D. You must remember, if you have taken NP1 with me, your skin produces a chemical with the help of sunlight. That chemical is called cholecalciferol. Should remember that, which is an inactive vitamin D. Then from the skin, the cholecalciferol goes to the kidneys, and inside the kidney you have a converting enzyme. This converting enzyme converts the cholecalciferol to calcitriol. This calcitriol is active vitamin D. So you see, the cholecalciferol must go to the kidneys. Why? Because inside the kidney you have that enzyme, converting enzyme, that will convert inactive cholecalciferol to active calcitriol. So that's the function your kidney provides. So those are the important functions. Main excretory organs of your body are kidneys. They excrete most of the toxic chemicals from the body. Regulation of blood volume by producing more or less urine. If your blood volume increases, kidneys will produce more urine to decrease the blood volume. If you don't drink water, in that case your kidneys will try to preserve the water, will not produce a lot of urine, will produce very highly concentrated urine. Also regulates the chemicals in the body, and by regulating the hydrogen ion concentration, it regulates the pH. Okay, and endocrine function, those two chemicals, renin and erythropoietin. Renin regulates the blood pressure, erythropoietin stimulates the bone marrow to produce red blood cells, and activation of vitamin D. Anatomy of a kidney. Kidneys are retroperitoneal. In last lecture, I showed you that most of the organs of your abdominal cavity are intraperitoneal. That means inside the peritoneal cavity. But your kidneys are in the back, and they are located behind the peritoneum. So that's why the kidneys are called retroperitoneal organs. In the lumbar region here, the back. Right kidney is slightly lower than the left, I showed you, and you know the reason why. The liver is in the right side. Hilum is the area. If you see the kidney, it is a bean-shaped structure, and this part is for the passage of blood vessels. You know that renal artery, renal vein, ureter, those structures pass through this area, and this indentation, this area is called the hilum. So hilum is the area through which the blood vessels and ureter pass. It's like the hilum of the lung. You have seen that. Internal anatomy. If you cut a kidney and see inside, you will see two distinct areas. Outer part is called the cortex and inner part is called the medulla. So this is the kidney, and the outer part is the cortex and inner part is the medulla. Okay. Now, if you see the medulla, in the medulla you have triangular structures like pyramids, and those are called renal pyramids. Triangular structures in the medulla. So, renal pyramids. And in between the pyramids, these areas, in between the pyramids, these areas are called columns. Renal columns. So here you see renal column and pyramids. So in between the pyramids, those structures are called the columns. And the pointed end of the pyramid is facing inwards. So you see these are the pointed ends of the pyramids are facing inwards, and these pointed ends are called papilla. So this area is called the renal papilla. Okay. And another thing is the papilla is covered by funnel shaped structures like this. You see the funnel shaped structures. These funnel shaped structures are called minor calyces. So it's like this. You see this is the papilla, pointed end of pyramid, and funnel shaped structure is covering the papilla like this, and that is called the minor calyx. So minor calyces are around the papilla. What happens here, urine is secreted here from the papilla. So papilla of pyramid secretes urine here, and the minor calyx is like a funnel, so it receives the urine from the papilla. So papilla secretes and funnel, that minor calyces, receive the urine. And then few minor calyces join together to form major calyx. So few minor calyces, for example here 3, 1, 2, 3, these 3 minor calyces, they join together to form a major calyx, and then the major calyx gives the urine to the pelvis, renal pelvis, and then pelvis becomes the ureter. So you see, I am repeating again, urine is secreted from the papilla to the minor calyces. Minor calyces are like funnels, and minor calyces give the urine to the major calyces, and major calyces give the urine to the renal pelvis. This area is the pelvis, and then from the pelvis the urine enters into the ureter. Ureter takes urine to the bladder. So that's how the urine flows. Papilla, minor calyx, major calyx, renal pelvis, ureter, urinary bladder, urethra, outside of the body. Okay. So that is the flow of the urine. Now here in this picture you can also see that I showed you already the hilum, the area to which the renal artery, renal vein and ureter pass. That's the hilum of the kidney. So that is the internal of the kidney. Blood supply. About 1/4 of your total blood circulation of the body goes to your kidneys. You know, in each minute, how much blood circulates in your body? In each minute, about 5 liters of blood circulates in your body. That means what? 5,000 milliliter, right? 5 liter means 5,000 milliliter blood circulates in the body, and about 1/4 of that, that means 1250 milliliter, you can say 1200, circulates in your kidneys, 2 kidneys. That's a lot. Your kidneys are like this size, right? This big. Only 2 kidneys, but inside the kidney, about 1/4 of your total body circulation flows, blood. That means kidney has extensive blood flow or circulation, right? Lot of blood flows inside the kidney. Why? Because kidney has to do what? Separate the toxic chemicals, right, from the blood. So if more blood flows in the kidney, more toxic chemicals will get out from the body, which is good. That's why lot of blood flows inside the kidney. So you need to know the flow of blood inside the kidney, how blood circulates inside the kidney, which is very important. And inside the kidney, the blood vessels are beautifully present, very nicely organized. We'll see how. I'll draw the kidney again. So this is not very good picture. Let me try to make it beautiful. Anyway, so not yet. Okay, so this is the hilum. Okay, so renal artery. This is the abdominal aorta. Okay, and you know that from the abdominal aorta, all of you already know, renal artery enters into the kidney. The renal artery divides into 2 segmental arteries like this. So renal artery enters and immediately divides, not superior inferior, anterior posterior, like this. So division is like this. So anterior and posterior segmental arteries. Then segmental, 2 segmental arteries, and these are the pyramids. You remember in the medulla you have the triangular structures. These are the pyramids. Okay, so from the segmental arteries, branches arise, and these branches pass through the columns in between the pyramids. You remember the area is called the renal column. So the branches pass through the renal column, and these are called interlobar. So interlobar artery. This is renal artery. Renal artery. These two are segmental. Arteries, and then from segmental arteries branches arise and they pass through the renal columns in between the pyramids, and now these are called the interlobar arteries. And then from the interlobar arteries branches arise and they move along the base of the pyramid. So you see, this is the base of the pyramid, this is the pointed part. So along the pyramid like this. So right angle, 90 degree. 90-degree angle is formed here. And these arteries, those are running along the base of the pyramid. These are now called arcuate. Arcuate arteries. Okay. Then what happens? From the arcuate arteries, small arteries arise like this. Again, right angle. You see, from arcuate, right angle. And these are called cortical radiate arteries. Why these are called cortical radiate arteries? Because you know that this part of the kidney, outer part of the kidney, is called the cortex. That's why these are the cortical arteries, and arising like radiation. So cortical radiate, not yet done. From cortical radiate, small arteries arise like this from both sides, like small plants. These are called afferent arteries. Start with A. Afferent arterial. Now these are arterial. That means very small arteries. You know that small arteries are called the arterioles. So I am going over again. This is the abdominal aorta. From abdominal aorta, renal artery arises and enters into the kidneys. Immediately after the renal artery enters, it divides like this: anterior segmental and posterior segmental. So two segmental arteries. Then from the segmental, branches arise and those branches passes through the renal columns. That means in between the pyramids, and these are called interlobar arteries. So these are the interlobar arteries. And then the interlobar arteries divide and the branches arise in right angle here and run along the base of the pyramid, and these are called the arcuate arteries. Arcuate. And then from the arcuate, several arteries arise. Those are in the cortex. So those are called what? Cortical radiate arteries. And then from the cortical radiate, many arterioles arise Those are called the afferent arterioles. So that is the blood flow inside the kidney. Remember the afferent arterioles here, we will talk more about this because these afferent arterioles are very important. Those tiny arteries. The veins run along the arteries side by side. So if you see in this picture, the veins, the blue ones here, run along the arteries. So beautifully, the blood circulation or circulatory system is present inside the kidney. So here, you see, I have talked about this part, aorta to the afferent artery. Then we will see what happens after that. So now you know, I will now only talk about this part. Okay, so this is the cortical radiate, afferent arterioles arise from the cortical radiate like this. So afferent arterioles. This. You know that from the end of the arterioles, we all know capillary is formed. In this case, the capillary is not a network. It is like a ball. So, from the afferent arteriole, a ball of capillary is formed. A tuft of capillary. You know, sometimes if you have grandma, old lady, sometimes they love to knit sweater or you know from the ball of worm. Have you seen that worm? So like that, tuft of capillary, ball of capillary. That is called glomerulus. So glomerulus is a tuft or ball of capillary. Now you can just think that if I make this capillary ball straight, make the capillary straight, it will be very long, right? Because it is a ball of capillary. So it is a very long capillary coiled as glomerulus. And then from the glomerulus, the arteriole that takes the blood out, these arterioles are called efferent. Start with E, exit. Efferent arteriole. So you see, from each afferent arteriole, the glomerulus is formed, and then efferent arteriole takes the blood out. Same thing here, same thing here. So beautifully designed inside the kidney. Now, why the capillary forms a ball? Because in that ball, long capillary can be present. And when the blood circulates here, blood will stay there for a long time because blood has to pass through that long capillary. So that's the purpose, that blood will circulate, stay there for a long time, then it will get out. Okay? So blood gets in to the afferent, circulates inside the glomerulus for a long time, and then gets out to the efferent. Now, the functional unit of the kidney is the nephron. I told you at the beginning that we have million of nephrons inside the kidney. Those are very small tube-like structures. So where the nephron is present inside the kidney. The first part of nephron is here. The first part of nephron is covering the glomerulus like a cup. So this is the glomerulus, this is the first part of nephron covering the glomerulus like this. And then next part is like this, not straight, it's convoluted. Then you have like this, then again convoluted, not straight, and then this is the last part. So this is the nephron, the blue one. So when the blood circulates inside the glomerulus for a long time, what happens? From the blood, by filtration, toxic chemicals and other electrolytes and water, that means different chemicals, enter into the nephron by filtration. So filtration occurs here. We talk about filtration a lot, right? So this is the place where the filtration takes place. So the blood flows inside the glomerulus for a long time, and from the blood, toxic chemicals, other electrolytes and water get out and enter into the first part of the nephron by filtration. That means in this capillary you have many pores or holes. That's why filtration can occur. Now, after the fluid enters here into the first part of the nephron, then the fluid will start to travel through the nephron this way. Okay, so that's the way the urine will flow. This part, that part is covering the glomerulus. This part is called the Bowman's capsule. Also known as glomerular, makes sense, capsule. So Bowman's capsule or glomerular capsule is the part of the nephron that covers the glomerulus. Now, you have millions of glomerulus and millions of nephrons like this. So each glomerulus is covered by the first part of nephron. Then again, let's say how the urine flows or fluid flows. And this part is the last part of the nephron, and this part is located in the papilla of the pyramid. You must remember the pyramid triangular structures inside the kidney, and this part is the papilla. So this part of the nephron is in the papilla. That means what? The urine gets out from this part. Urine gets out from here, enters into the minor calyx, major calyx, pelvis, ureter. Okay. But remember, this is a microscopic structure. That is many nephrons end here. Thousands of nephrons end here. This part. Many. And the urine is secreted here. Anyway, so now we'll see the parts of a nephron. So this is the nephron. What are the parts it has? This is the Bowman's capsule. This part is called the proximal convoluted tubule. Very simple. Proximal is the early part. Convoluted means not straight. And tubule. Then this part you see hairpin like, you use the hairpin like this, right? So that loop part or hairpin like part is called the loop of Henle. So this part is the loop of Henle. Then next part is the distal convoluted. You see again this part is convoluted, so this is called the distal convoluted tubule. I think this is E. I will check it. H-E. I'll check this. Right. So distal convoluted tubule, and this last part is the collecting duct. Collecting duct. Okay. So these are the parts of a nephron: Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting duct. Now the loop of Henle has two limbs: descending limb, this one, ascending limb, that one. So the fluid passes through the descending limb first and then through the ascending limb. So those are the parts of the nephron. Another structure that is called renal corpuscle. What is renal corpuscle? Renal corpuscle consists of two structures: this glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. These two parts together is called the renal corpuscle. So this is the renal corpuscle. This part, glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule or glomerular capsule together is called the renal corpuscle. Each kidney has about 1 million nephrons. So just think that nephrons are how tiny, how small the nephrons are. Okay, in human kidney we have two types of nephrons: cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. 85% nephrons of human kidneys are cortical nephrons. That means most of the nephrons are cortical nephrons. And about 15% nephrons are juxtamedullary nephrons. What is the difference between cortical and juxtamedullary nephron? You see, this is one nephron I showed you, and another nephron I am going to show you here, green color. Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, then the loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting duct. Now the difference here is this short loop nephron is the cortical nephron. The loop of Henle is short, and this long loop of Henle nephron is called the juxtamedullary nephron. So this is the cortical nephron, this is the juxtamedullary nephron. Long loop one is juxtamedullary. Another difference important difference is cortical nephrons produce dilute urine, less concentrated urine. Juxtamedullary nephrons produce concentrated urine. So short-looped nephrons produce diluted urine and long-looped nephrons produce what? Concentrated urine. So, have you seen camels in picture? If not real, camels. They live where? Yeah, right? So, they produce highly concentrated urine, right? Because they don't get enough water. So, once they drink water, they try to keep that water inside the body for a long time because they have to, travel long and, they don't get water very often. So now you tell me, camels should have more cortical or juxtamedullary nephrons? Juxtamedullary produces highly concentrated urine, right? Concentrated. So they must have more juxtamedullary nephrons. So camels have more juxtamedullary than cortical nephrons. How about sea lions? What do you think? Sea lions live in cortical more, right? Because they don't need to preserve water in their body. They live in water, right? They can easily get water. So we know that those two types of nephrons produce two types of urine, concentrated and diluted urine. Here you see in this picture, in the left side, you see the short-looped nephron, so that is the cortical. In the right side, you see very long loop of Henle, that's the juxtamedullary nephron. Now, we'll talk about three sets of capillaries or three types of capillaries in the kidney. You must remember, I measured at the very beginning today the capillaries, three sets of capillaries. Let me see the Henle, H-E. Yeah, so it should be H-E-N-L-E, not A. So there are three types of capillaries inside the kidney. You have already seen one capillary, that's the glomerulus, which is the tuft of capillary or wall of capillary. So this is number one, glomerulus. Okay. And then what happens, you see, efferent arteriole gets out from the glomerulus and goes around the short loop of cortical nephron, and this capillary is called the peritubular capillary around the short loop of Henle. So this is the peritubular. Peri means around. So makes sense. Peritubular capillary. Okay. Around the short loop. And another set of capillary we see, which looks like a ladder and goes around the long loop. So this is the long loop, and this capillary runs along the long loop, and it looks like a ladder that you use to climb up like this. There are two limbs and they are connected by horizontal bars. So this one is the third one. That's the vasa recta. This is called recta. So these are three sets of or types of capillaries. One is the glomerulus. That's the ball or tuft of capillary where the filtration occurs. Another is around the short loop. That's the peritubular capillary. And the third one around the long loop, which looks like a ladder, and that's the vasa recta. So those are the capillaries. Here you see in this picture, you see the glomerulus. These are glomerulus and peritubular capillary and vasa recta. So here you see those are three types of capillaries. Okay, now we will see another structure that is called the Juxtaglomerular Apparatus. Juxtaglomerular Apparatus or JGA. Very important. Why? Because renin, you remember when I talked about the functions of the kidneys, I said endocrine function, two chemicals are produced, renin, which regulates the blood pressure, and erythropoietin, which stimulates the bone marrow to produce red blood cells. So renin that regulates the blood pressure is produced in juxtaglomerular apparatus in this part of the kidney. So we'll see how the juxtaglomerular apparatus looks like and from where the renin comes. Juxtaglomerular apparatus is formed by the distal portion of the ascending limb of loop of Henle and the afferent arteriole. You already know those two parts. But let me draw again. So this is the afferent arteriole, glomerulus. I'm drawing again afferent arteriole. And this is the nephron, the Bowman's capsule, right? And the proximal convoluted tubule. Then the loop of Henle, descending limb, ascending limb. Now you see I am drawing a little bit different. Distal convoluted tubule collecting duct. Now when you see a picture of a nephron, and also I did draw 2 minutes ago the nephron, I took a lot of space to draw a nephron. In your book you will see the nephron is shown in a big area. But actually you think that inside the kidney, each kidney you have how many nephrons? 1 million, right? 1 million. So inside the kidney, 1 million nephrons cannot, stay like in big area. Each nephron is squeezed. Make sense? So actually we draw the picture to show you different parts. That's why we draw like that. But actually inside the kidney, the nephrons are heavily squeezed and like this. So what happens inside the kidney? This is the afferent arteriole. And this is the loop of Henle, descending limb, ascending limb. Okay, ascending limb of loop of Henle. These two parts come close. Here you see the afferent arteriole and the last part or end part of ascending limb. They come very close to each other. And these two structures, you see there, the distal portion of ascending limb and the afferent arteriole. That means this is the afferent arteriole, this is the distal portion of ascending limb. They come close to each other. And this part is called the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Okay, juxtaglomerular apparatus. And renin is produced here. Now we'll see under the microscope. If I make a cross section here and just see these two structures side by side, this is the wall of afferent arteriole and this is the wall of distal part of ascending limb of loop of Henle. So this is afferent arteriole, this is the distal part of loop of Henle, ascending limb. Now in the wall of the afferent arteriole, only in this part, in the wall, you have a highly specialized cells. Highly specialized cells. So these cells are here in the wall of afferent arteriole, and these special cells are called granular cells. These are the granular cells. And these granular cells secrete renin. So renin is secreted by the granular cells. Renin is very important because it regulates the blood pressure. So now you know which two structures form the juxtaglomerular apparatus and which cells produce the renin. In the wall of the loop of Henle, in this part, that means in juxtaglomerular apparatus, you also have highly specialized cells in the wall of loop of Henle. These cells are also highly specialized, and these cells are called macula densa. Macula densa. So, two types of cells in those two structures. Only in this part, not in other parts. Only where they come close to each other, that's the juxtaglomerular apparatus. In the arteriole, you have granular cells. In the tubule, you have the macula densa. So granular cells produce renin. Macula densa, these cells work as receptors. What kind of receptors? You know that urine flow, after the urine is produced, the fluid flows through the nephron. So when the fluid flows through this part, these macula densa cells can detect the flow of fluid. So how much fluid is flowing? The pressure can be detected by the macula densa cells. So I will not go in more detail, just know those are very important information you need to know, okay, from this part. Here you see, so that part is the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Okay. Filtration membrane, through which the filtration occurs. We know that filtration occurs here already, right, from the glomerulus to the nephron. So this is the filtration. Now you can easily tell that when the fluid gets out from the blood capillary and enters into the nephron, which membranes the fluid has to cross. One is the wall of the capillary, it has to get out, right? And then the Bowman's capsule. So these are the two membranes, right? The fluid must cross to enter into the nephron. So these two membranes together form the filtration membrane. So now we'll see these two membranes. So this is the capillary, and then the Bowman's capsule. This is the Bowman's capsule, this membrane, and the capillary wall. We know already that capillary wall has two layers. Here two layers, and Bowman's capsule also has two layers. Okay, so two layers in the capillary wall, two layers in the Bowman's capsule. What are the two layers of the capillary wall? So first we'll see these two layers in the capillary wall. The inner is the endothelium. Endothelium. That is called capillary endothelium, formed by a single layer of squamous cells. And then this is the basement membrane. Basement membrane. So those are the two layers in the capillary wall. Now we'll see two layers in the Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule also has two layers. This is called the basement membrane. Basement membrane. And this is the capsular glomerular capsule or capsular layer or glomerular capsule. So now you see both capillary wall and the Bowman's capsule have basement membrane. So these two basement membranes are attached to each other. So now we can say, since both have basement membranes, we can say fused basement membrane, and it is considered as one layer because both are same structure. So fused basement membrane, this part. One basement membrane from the capillary wall, another basement membrane from the capsular wall. So now we have actually three layers. If you see from the blood side, capillary endothelium, fused basement membrane, and capsular layer. So that's why we say three layers in the filtration membrane, and the fluid must pass through those layers to go from the capillary blood to the nephron. Okay, so that's the filtration membrane, and filtration membrane is very porous. That means many tiny holes are present and should be, otherwise the filtration will not occur. So just know that the layers of the filtration membrane and formed by the wall of the capillary and the Bowman's capsule. Last thing, three processes of urine formation. So we know that after the filtration, what happens? You all know. Again, I am drawing the same picture, glomerulus, and this is the Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, collecting duct. You need to know those names, okay? And filtration occurs here and the fluid enters here. Okay? And fluid passes like this. While the fluid passes through the nephron, two things happen. In some areas, water and some chemicals get out from the nephron. Now remember one thing, when I say get out, that means get back into the body. Anything, this is the most important information here, anything that remains inside the nephron will get out as what? Urine. That is important to know. Anything remains inside the nephron or tubule will get out as urine. And anything that will get out from the tubule through the wall, that will go back to the body. So now you see here, some electrolytes or chemicals and water get back into the body while the fluid is passing through the nephron, and that is called reabsorption. So reabsorption means going back into the body. Opposite of reabsorption also occurs, but in less amount. That means what? From the body, some chemicals enter into the nephron. So opposite of reabsorption, right? Reabsorption is going back into the body, and opposite of reabsorption, that is called secretion. So secretion. So reabsorption is getting out from the nephron, entering into the body, and secretion is from the body going into the nephron. Now you tell me, if in your body hydrogen ion concentration has increased, that means what? Acidosis. Remember, hydrogen ion more means acidic, right? Acidosis has occurred in your blood. So hydrogen ion should be reabsorbed or secreted more. What should happen to bring it back to normal? Just think and tell me. It's an easy question. Your body got more hydrogen ion, right? So hydrogen ion should stay in the body or get out from the body? Get out, right? So which one will help you to get out? Secretion or reabsorption? Reabsorption takes back into the body, right? And secretion has to get out, right? Because I told you anything goes into the nephron will get out from the body. Make sense? So secretion of hydrogen ion will occur if acidosis occurs in the body. That means in your body you have more hydrogen ion. So what should happen? If reabsorption occurs, then your body will get more hydrogen ion, right? Because reabsorption is going back into the body. We don't want that. We want what? Opposite, secretion. If your body is dehydrated, okay? Now, if you drink, you got a little bit of water, you drink that water. What should happen? Reabsorption or secretion? Your body needs what? Water, right? So it will not let the water get out. Make sense? So reabsorption will take back. Make sense? If secretion occurs, then water will leave the body, right? Does it make sense? Okay. So just first think that what your body needs. If hydrogen ion is high acidosis, your body doesn't need, right, to take it back. Should excrete out, secretion. So now you got the three processes. What are those three processes? Number one, first is the filtration occurs in the glomerulus. That's why it is also called glomerular filtration. That happens first during urine production. Number two, tubular reabsorption. Number three, tubular secretion. Why say tubular? Because occur in the tubules. So glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion. Those are the three processes of urine formation. And the amount varies depending on the need of your body. So let's stop here. Understand